Welcome to this next video. I haven't done a video in a while. This is 4.2.3 inverse trig functions, and I'll get into what that means in a little bit. And here's the essential question in case you have not written it down yet. So to review a little bit of what we've been doing before, how can I find the measures of the missing angle? Well, I know that this right here is my angle. This is my opposite because it's opposite of the angle. And this right here, adjacent, this would be hypotenuse, which means that this is the adjacent. So because I have the opposite and the adjacent, I know I'm going to use tangent. And how I know I'm going to use that, or how I'm going to use that, is tangent of x of some degree, this one right here, equals the opposite, so 300, over the adjacent, so 400. In other words, tangent of x equals 3 over 4. What's 3 divided by 4? You probably already guessed it. Tangent of x equals 0.75. Now this is the annoying part. This is the part where you had to go through and plug in a whole bunch of numbers until you got the tangent of some number equals 0.75. Luckily, I already did it for you and I got that the tangent of about 37 degrees equals 0.75. So that's how that works. Hopefully you still remember how to do this. So x degrees equals 37 degrees. And that's how we figured it out. Now, there is a shortcut. There is a way to essentially cancel this out and find 37 degrees. And now let me show you what I mean by that. So just a subtraction undoes, let me write this down, addition. And multiplication undoes division. Sorry, I spelled that wrong. Multiplication undoes division. The inverse trig functions undo trig functions. So you know how we have plus and minus are opposite, times and division are opposite, up, down, left, right. There's a thing called, for example, tangent of x is actually the opposite of inverse tangent of x. And these inverse trig functions, which I'll show you in a little bit more detail in a little bit, are used to solve for the measure of an angle in a right triangle when two sides are known. So I'll give you a few seconds to look at this. Make sure you pause it and write this down. There is a little pencil on here, but I'm going to keep moving on. So again, you're on the computer, so this is at your own pace. So please pause it to write everything down. So here's what I mean by that. The inverse trig function is used to solve for the measure of an angle in a right triangle when two sides are known. This is exactly from the slide before. So for the function sine, the inverse of it, the one that undoes, I'll write this on here, undoes sine, is going to be inverse sine. And that's what it's pronounced. It is pronounced inverse sine. Very similarly, for cosine, the inverse is going to be inverse cosine. There's a little mistake right here. Just ignore this. Put this next to it. And for tangent, probably already guessed it, it is going to be inverse tangent. Now copy this table down too. This is very important. I'm going to keep it in the small whiteboard table on the right side of the room, but you always want this in your notes. So let's put this into action. For sine of v, I have, let me move this over here. I have sine of v, cosine of w, and tangent of x. Now let me move on. If you look at your calculators, you have sine, and then right there you have inverse sine. You have cosine, and then right there you have inverse cosine, tangent, and inverse cosine. Tangent, sorry. The way to get that is to actually click on second, and then click on tangent, or click on second, and then click on cosine, or click on second, and then click on tangent. That's how you're going to get it. But let's go through what this means in a little bit. So let me move this to the side. Sine of b, let's do that one first. sine of b equals 0.4848. Now, how can I get rid of that inverse of that sign right there? You do inverse sine of this. Let me just write it all over again. Inverse sine of b equals inverse sine of 0.4848. These are going to cancel out, so you're going to get b equals about 28.99, or you can just say it's about 29. So instead of going through and plugging in the numbers and doing all that stuff, you know that b equals 29. Very similarly, I'll keep this one up here, I can do cosine of w. So cosine of w equals 0.6157. Now to get rid of that cosine, all I have to do is do inverse cosine of this side, take the inverse cosine of this side, and then once you plug it into your calculator, let me type it in because I haven't done this one yet, you will get that w is approximately 52 degrees. See how that's making sense? Hopefully you're doing this on the calculator by yourself. Last one, just to show us how to do this one. Tangent of x equals 0.5316. So again, to get rid of this tangent, you do inverse tangent, boop, boop, inverse tangent, boop, boop. This is going to cancel out, so you're going to be left with x equals, let me put this on my calculator, 5316. It's going to be about 28 degrees. Pretty simple, right? So here's the 3 examples. You can go through and finish those whenever you want, but make sure you pause and write these down. Now, one last example before I let you move on. How can we find the measure of this missing angle? Same idea we did before. We know it's tangent, so I'm going to say tangent of x equals 3 over 4 because we already did this earlier today. So I'm going to say that the inverse tangent of tangent of x equals the inverse tangent of about 0.75. Now, if you plug this in your calculator, you will get that tangent of x is about 36.87. So that's how you do that. I will go through, actually at this point you're probably familiar, you probably know how to do this. So go ahead and try the classwork. I'll be around. I'll probably be at this point still working with the group in the front. But please let me know if you have any questions, and please make sure you ask the people around you because they might be able to help you too.